get into the intro and I'll check again once I've done that. So hello everyone and welcome to today's IPC&M CPD Building Masterclass, the first one after our summer recess. So my name is Julie Kennedy. I am based in the Netherlands and I'm your host. So today our speaker is Liadh Fitzgerald, and so you do fascinating stuff here. She's CEO and founder of Women's Health Network. She also runs IPC&M accredited fertility and menopause qualification programs, and was even shortlisted, well done for that for sure, in 2024 by the European Fertility Society for Best Fertility Coach. So we're certainly, we have a pro with us here tonight. Fun fact, I always like the stuff which isn't in the bio. Liadh is a hopeless romantic and came very close to publishing a Mills and Boon novel, which I understand is still on her to-do list. So
Yes.
well done for that, because not many people can claim to that. Now, today, a topic very close to my heart personally, so I'm delighted. A few housekeeping rules before we get into the topic. So the call today is a maximum of 1 hour, and that's including 15 minutes Q&A. Liadh's fine with you just, asking your question as we go along, or otherwise, if you want to keep it to the end, I would suggest just parking it in the comments, and then we can get to that in the end. As I said previously, the session is recorded, so please mute yourself, but keep your video on so the speaker can see that they're not speaking to themselves. So on to the topic, elevate skills, menopause coaching mastery. Now, it's all about fertility and menopause, right? So a very important topic, in particular for us women. So I would like to pass over to you, Liadh.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Let's hope that there won't be too many gremlins when I share it, because we still are, as you say, in gremlin zone when it comes to coming off the summer holidays. So thank you so much to everybody who has turned up here. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit in a moment, just to give you an idea of who I am, and then we're going to look at our take on menopause and fertility coaching. And we're going to wrap it up at the end with a little bit of our business chat to see, is this something that you would feel would fit into your business, etc. And when we look at some of that, I will loop it all the way back to tell you about my why all of this is I feel is so important, okay, and why I have put blood, sweat, and tears, as all of us have, into different things to try and create something that will benefit other women and, of course, men. So Unlocking Fertility and Menopause Coaching is the name of today's masterclass. So my name is Liadh Fitzgerald. Julie did a wonderful pronunciation on the Liadh part. The D and the H we don't need. That was put in just, another gremlin, so to speak. So I'm a functional medicine practitioner. I'm a nutritionist, I'm an NLP practitioner. I'm also a fellow mentor and a fellow coach, accredited through the IAPC&M, and I'm a member of the European Fertility Society, the Institute for Functional Medicine, the British Nutrition and Lifestyle Medicine Association, and of course, IAPC&M. So you get an idea that my background is practitioner and coach. And that builds the ethos behind all of our programs as well. Now, I'm not going to talk about our programs as such, because I want to introduce you to ways that I don't know actually how many of you are existing coaches. Maybe you are, maybe you work with women. Maybe we might even have a show of hands if you already work with women. If not, then this will give you an idea of how women can. Helen, I was going to say David, Helen does. This will give you an idea of, I suppose, how we should be approaching our own health, and how we deserve healthcare to look at us as women a little bit differently to how they're looking at us already. And that the driving force behind me is that it's not good enough, the healthcare that's provided for women, okay? And the healthcare that is provided is missing one key element a lot of the time: coaching skills. Okay, so I'm a mum to 2 IVF babies. I just texted one to say be very quiet when you come in, and the other is inside watching television, told don't move, don't budge. She might wander in. Let's hope she won't. The cats might wander in too, but look, this is real life, isn't it? Living life. So I head up Women's Health Network, and Women's Health Network is still in its infancy, but it's pretty much it's a heavy hitter, even though we're young. I run an international team of specialist tutors. I run 2 IAPC&M programs. They're diploma qualification programs at that level 7. Other CPD programs are in the process of being accredited. Julie mentioned that I've been honoured, and I was actually in Amsterdam, Julie. So it was over in the Netherlands during the summer. Went over to the awards, which was brilliant. Um, I suppose what I'm most proud of, aside from my family, is this gold standard training and this desire to change the way we look at women in healthcare. Okay, so I've been a practitioner since 2020 or 2005, and I've been a teacher and a lecturer since 2007. So that'll just give you a little bit of background on myself, but I don't want to talk any more about myself. So Women's Health Network, then, my business is a global online education, networking, and mentoring or mentorship community for fertility, menopause, and women's health therapists who focus on nutrition, coaching, lifestyle medicine, anything that will support the female going through whatever challenge, whatever journey she's going through. Okay. And I suppose I'm just absolutely thrilled that coaching is something that's becoming more and more, I suppose, on the ear, because a lot of times coaching, people are wondering, what is that? And I let you all into a secret, if you're already coaches, that those who have come onto our programs and who are practitioners, and we've had medics coming onto our programs, they're terrified of coaching. They're afraid of coaching because they feel this is some amazing talent that you cannot just pick up or you cannot just be taught. And it's about trying to let them know that the coaching is about holding a conversation, about setting the scene for someone to not look back, but to look forward. So to have fertility and menopause coaching coming into the psyche of our medical field is one of my aims. Because I think without coaching, we don't have the skills to truly support holistically. I remember a friend of mine coming home from the United States years ago, and I remember her saying to me, everybody should have a coach because that was pretty much the norm over there. And it's taken. I'm in Ireland, obviously. I know we're probably mainly European here. It's taken a while maybe for that to catch up with us. So, what are you going to know? So that's about a little bit about myself, a little bit about Women's Health Network. But I want to look at what you will learn during your time together. Now, again, I should have probably taken a show of hands to say who's here to learn for your coaching practice, who's here to learn for yourselves, but I'll try and do it in a way that all of us should hopefully be served during this hour. So I'm going to introduce you to the holistic approaches to wellness, and we're going to explore the concept of integrative medicine. Okay, now integrative medicine is a combination between, I suppose, your traditional orthodox medicine and a different way of looking at it. And it's more of a functional medicine lens where we look at the function of the body. But I want to up the ante of that. And I want to just say, right, okay, let's look at how function goes wrong. And let's look at what can be offered to us medically, but let's also bring coaching to the table. And let's not forget that in the middle of this journey is a human being who needs help, who needs support, who needs a safe space to be able to ask all the questions 10 times if they need to, and who need somebody to mentor them, but who need somebody to help them make the decisions to move on from where they are. We would have women come and men coming into clinic during, and the fertility side of things, and they're often facing some really challenging questions. The questions of, do I want to go down the route of donation? I have reached the end of my journey and there is no baby. Where do I go now? Now, a coach can support you to get those answers. The traditional medicine model doesn't. Functional medicine or integrative medicine, which are powerful, don't answer that. The coach and their skills can support the person to answer that. And that's why it's an element of women's health support that should 100% be, very much the center of all of the care, the patient care, the client care that we can give to women. So we're going to look at that. Then we're going to look at communication skills. And I think coaches were very good at communicating. And I'm going to give you a few examples of women who have come through our clinic and students who are training, and who weren't met where they are with the person who was supposed to support them, and how coaches bridge that gap, how coaches can, meet the client where they're at. And then we're going to look a little bit at business development. I get very passionate about business. I'm a business mentor, and I want to, for any of you here that are in business, I want to give you an idea of where we start our business clients, because it might spark something within yourself that you might be like, I never kind of thought of it that way. And so we're going to have a lovely time. I better get into it now a little bit more. So this is our holistic approach to wellness. And this is the holistic approach to women's wellness that your practitioner will generally come to the table with. Okay, we look at physiology, what's going on in the body. Maybe we might consider the emotions, and maybe we mightn't. Maybe we might put emotions and lifestyle together and lump in things like stress, anxiety, irritation, whatever is coming up. We might lock them in together. We might look at the journey that the client is on. We might look at that, wider scope around them, especially maybe the menopause client. We might look at them and say, okay, what else is going around you in life? You're in this situation where you have a huge amount of symptoms. Maybe you're in a lot of pain, maybe emotionally, maybe there's a huge amount of anxiety, which does come during menopause because of estrogen receptors in the brain, which is your physiology. And there's so much going on, but as a practitioner, we usually look at the physiology, what's going on physiologically. If we're lucky, we also look at it under the functional medicine lens of where in the body is function going wrong. Our core systems feed into each other. If one of them is imbalanced or a couple of them are imbalanced, how do we support them? So that's great. That's how we look at things as a practitioner. We teach this actually to our students. We teach them to be those physiological practitioners, because you need to, when it comes to menopause and fertility coaching, there's a new paradigm shift that we want to introduce. We want to introduce the fact that you can support a buffering of symptoms, or I suppose a bettering and optimizing of reproductive function for the fertility client, whilst supporting them emotionally to reach their goals, to have conversations that are difficult. Coach, practitioner. Okay, we meld the two together so beautifully because we need it. Okay, so this is the integrative medicine approach. It's in its infancy, but it doesn't consider coaching. Now, if we were to look at the coach within this situation, and as I say, we advocate an integrative medicine approach that does consider coaching and should become more of the norm. And it's not coaching in so far as how are you? How are you doing? That's great. There's my answer. You're fine. It's coaching. What do you need? What do you want to achieve throughout this journey? And if you have a menopause client in front of you, what do you want to achieve? I'm in so much pain, and again, anxiety, or I feel I can no longer continue at work because I'm overwhelmed, or I'm having hot flushes in the middle of meetings, and I'm traumatized by it. The coach will break that down. The coach practitioner will break that down, but they will also be looking at how do we minimize these symptoms? How do we support physiology? When we had our first run of students through the program, we had fertility, and it was the fertility program. The menopause one is only brand new, such as fertility. And we had our fertility nurses, we had coaches in the program, we had nutritionists in the program. Our programs were all initially designed for practitioners, functional medicine practitioners, nutritionists, but the women knocking on our door were not coming from that background. They were coming from a background of having life and lived experience of the challenges. So we came back to the IAPC&M and we said we have to change our intake criteria because it's a different person coming in to train as a coach. And it was wonderful. And they're the most passionate coaches. But when we had our nutritionists and our fertility nurses and our coaches in our first group together, the coaches couldn't quite get their head around the fact that the nutritionists and the medics were sending people out of their clinic with a program to follow or instructions, and there was nothing to see. Can you implement this? What are you going to find tricky? Who can support you? What part of this do you think you might be able to do first, or do you want to do first? Where are you stuck? What barriers are in place? They couldn't believe it. They were like, hang on a minute, where is there's a, that's missing. On the other hand, the coaches or the non-coaches were looking at the coaches in utter awe and thinking, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I have sent people out of my clinic And this part of it didn't dawn on me. So when you bring the two together, it can be it can be actually mind blowing. This is our therapy wheel. Okay, now I've in red here, if you don't mind, not to be shared, but it's very blurry, so it's very difficult to see it. So our therapy wheel, it incorporates many things. On the outside, we have all the things we need to support and correct physiologically, because remember, our approach is different. Our approach considers physiology, and it also considers what you need with regards to coaching and support. It's that full 360 model, okay? Mental, emotional, blocks and barriers, unable to see your way forward, not knowing which direction to go in. We signpost, we support, we mentor, we coach. And underpinning it all, we're actually going to support your physiology as well, because we teach our students, of course, how to do all of this. But this is something that this is very new. This is a very new concept of coaching. It's a very new concept of practitionering, if there's such a word. And I think that we're doing a disservice if we don't have both together. Okay, because I can give you as many intervention protocols to help get you pregnant. Equally, one of my team, because I specialize in fertility, but equally one of my team can give you many protocols to help you with your menopause symptoms, and they can educate you and explain it to you. But unless there's somebody alongside you, walking the walk with you and helping you figure out that pathway, and helping you figure out where you're stuck, where your pain point is, and often, when people come in and ask them, like, what are you, how can we help you? And they might say, I'd love to know more about nutrition to get pregnant. But actually, their pain, or sometimes people might say, I just want help getting pregnant. And that's not really their pain point. That's a huge pain. But their pain point is that they don't understand something. There's something they know they want information on. They don't know what it is. They're stuck. They feel, if I don't have all the information, am I compromising the ability to get pregnant? And we can go down so many rabbit holes. We can stress ourselves and pressure ourselves. The coach is there to support all of that, to help push away the noise and say, right, okay, this is your fertility journey. Where do you think you need help? What do you want to achieve during it? So the coach is the most powerful ally of the person going through a fertility journey and a menopause journey. You might have the fertility client, or any of your clients, if you work in fertility or menopause, they might be struggling to, marry work and the fertility journey. You have medications to take. You have to take them at a certain time. What if you're on shift work? What if your shifts are changing next week and you have to bring your medication into work and push it into the fridge? That happened to myself on my fertility journey. My children are IVF. I'm through 3 rounds of IVF. I have 2 beautiful children, 2 gorgeous daughters, and I had to travel to Dublin, which isn't far, but I still had to travel. And I was, how am I going to what am I going to do with my meds? Is this going to throw the whole the entire IVF treatment? And I need, in that moment, if I'd had a coach, if I'd had someone say, okay, let's sit down now, let's think, what do you need to happen? I would have been able to work it out. In the end, my wonderful mother worked it out for me. But it was very stressful. I came out of the IVF clinic when I first went in with my husband, and I came out saying, in tears, saying, I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Now, if I'd had a coach alongside me who knew the medications, who knew the procedures, who knew what to do, they would have been on my list. Straight away, they would have been part of my team. And also, when I was having a wobble, or maybe there was a wobble between myself and my husband, couples coaching, let me support you as a couple. And the role of the coach for anything to do with women's health, for anything in general, but for anything to do with women's health, the role of the coach is one that should be all the way up at the top. We train our coaches to stand toe to toe with any other medic, any other team member around the fertility or menopause client. And the reason we do that is to give our coaches confidence, knowledge, and for them to feel, well, actually, yes, I do deserve this seat at the table. And for our clients then to know, well, actually, yes, this is a professional here with me who is, who's helped me through the really difficult parts. So this is our wheel, as I say, and our client is bang in the middle, and our client is meeting other people. They're meeting GPs. Maybe if it's your menopause woman or your fertility client, they might also be meeting like a personal trainer. They may have met at the gym, and they might decide I need to either improve maybe muscle mass or bone density, or I need to lose weight, whatever the case may be. And so they're surrounded by so many people who are telling them you need to do this, you need to do that, and they can be overwhelmed. But when you bring the coach into it, the coach helps push away that overwhelm, and the coach helps ground everything and helps support the client to become grounded themselves. So that leads us nicely actually onto communication skills, because we just looked here about who our client might meet, the GPs, the practitioners, the nutritionists, etc. But I would like to ask us, do we meet our clients where we're at? And for any of us who are here as coaches, I think this is a question we should always be asking ourselves. Are we meeting them where we're at? Yes, as coaches, we need to support our clients to move on. But are we pushing them? Are we pushing them too much? And the reason that this is highlighted, I suppose, mainly for myself, and I highlight to the students, is because we have women coming into us who have been pushed by others. They haven't been met where they are. They're often in a very, very vulnerable situation, emotionally very vulnerable, maybe physically very vulnerable. They'll have gone through tests and procedures that can be very invasive, and some can be quite violating actually. And and then they're meeting someone who's telling them you need to do more, you have to. I'm actually going to give you an example, that you need to do more, you need to do this, you need to do the other, and eventually the person is like, my head is so full of what I should do, I can only do a portion of it, I have already failed. And if you're on a fertility journey, you don't ever want to feel that you're going to fail in any aspect of it. So that's something we need to again push away for our clients. And I have one client who is a menopause woman, and she has an exceptionally hectic, busy life. She has huge demands actually on her life, and she's a carer of a couple of family members, and there's a lot on her plate. And she knew, like she's in menopause, and she knew I need to get myself fitter. I need to get some muscles back in the body. I just need to do it. Now she has managed to get herself to the gym. She's joined the gym. She manages to get herself to the gym between 2 and 3 times per week, which, if you knew her background, you would say that is an absolute miracle. And be prouder of yourself than you actually feel you can be. Be even more proud. Be the proudest you've ever been of yourself. Now, unfortunately, those who she's interacting at the gym are trying to push her to do more. Why aren't you doing this? Why are you slipping down on some of your foods? And why aren't you joining nighttime classes? They're available to you. Why aren't you doing this? And she's trying to explain, like, to even get here, to physically get here 2 to 3 times a week is that miracle within itself. And now I'm being told I'm not doing good enough, and you need to do more and more and more. And and that made her feel like rubbish, absolute, utter rubbish. So she went from being high as a kite, feeling I'm doing so well for myself, to feeling I'm not doing enough, it's not good enough. And the joy was taken out of it. So we had to have a really good coaching conversation around that, and say, get her back on track. And sometimes we need to remember that we have to meet our clients where they're at certain stages, all the way through. At certain stages, we can push them that little bit more. At other stages, if we push them, we might be actually pushing them backwards. And I often say to myself, who is this for? Is this for me, or is this for them? And, meeting them where they're at is something that we have to respect. And we can always have that coaching session about, do you think you're ready to move on? And I think ourselves, with our own coaching skills, we'll get an idea of when when there's a shift. And I always say to my clients, if you feel a shift, if you're getting a bit antsy about something, don't think that's a bad thing. Look at that as a good thing, because when you're feeling antsy, that's something, I'm bored of this, that's not a negative, that's a positive. That means you're not ready for the next level of whatever it is that you're doing. You've outgrown something. And so that's where that really strong coaching skill set, I think any of us here who are coaches will understand that skill set is valuable, but it's actually more valuable than maybe we realize. And it's not until you're with your client who's stuck in the medical the medical model, we'll say, or who's going through medical or physiological issues with themselves, that you truly realize that without having a holistic viewpoint, we're seriously letting our women down, because we carry so much. We carry everything on these shoulders. And it's very rare, or it's not often, that we carry ourselves or that others carry us, because we see it seems that I think everybody in the world thinks that women can do so much, as can men, of course, but that the child will go through when they fall. Mother, who's the person that you pick up the phone to if you're in an awful situation? Probably your female best friend. There's always a draw on us, and if our women allow more to be pulled from them, it's not going to be that beneficial for them a lot of the time. Here are some of the words that my clients use, and some of my students: fear, hopelessness, worry, embarrassment, turmoil, frustration, depression, anxiety, on and on. A lot of our clients, a lot of women in the fertility and menopause space, if that's a space you already work in, that they're facing emotions, they're facing realities such as grief, loss, uncertainty, anxiety, a loss of self, maybe a loss of a baby. There's a huge amount going on. Now, if we're only treating women going through fertility challenges from the waist down, if we're only treating women going through menopause as it's all in your head, you're very anxious, let me give you an antidepressant, where is all the support for the fear and the worry and the embarrassment? It's not there, but the coach can support with that. How are you feeling? Let's have a look at the emotions wheel. Tell me which one you are. How would you like to feel? That's not available in healthcare generally. That's not available when people talk about wellness, unless they're talking about really that 360 holistic view. I'll give you an example again, and I'll use the word embarrassment, hopeless, stupidity. But I was 38 when I had my first daughter, and I was 40 when I had my second daughter. And at the age of 38, and I had already been working in this field, and at the age of 38, I would have felt that, people probably thought that I knew stuff, which of course we all know stuff at the age of 38. And I remember walking into mother care. Now, you probably all know mother care. And so this was the place that you buy your nappies and your bottles and your baby grows and the whole lot. And I walked in and I was like, right, I want to feed my baby myself, but worst case scenario, let's get some bottles. And I remember going in and saying, I want to buy some bottles. And I was a bit embarrassed because I felt old. Now, when I look back now, I didn't look old, and but I felt old. And I remember the girl who was much younger than me saying to me, what size do you want? And I was like, I really don't know. And could you advise me? And she couldn't, for whatever it was. She was like, well, like whatever ones you want. I mean, they're over there. Why don't you pick the one you think would be best? And I left there in tears, saying to my husband, I'm never going back there again. I didn't know what to do. I felt so stupid. Even thinking about it now, I feel emotional. Um, and this is facing the woman who might have to go through tests, treatments, medications, invasive procedures. You know, her period arriving then, and she's like, oh my goodness, and every month maybe looking for signs, maybe going through a full IVF or, any of the artificial reproductive technique journeys. So you have all of that built in. You have the emotional side built in. You have the uncertainty. I always say that for some, getting pregnant is, let's go out and have a drink. For others, getting pregnant, it's here's my wallet, take out as much as you need. I don't need to eat for the next 12 months, and nothing is guaranteed. I was lucky I had three rolls of the dice. The middle one stopped because my own hormones took over, but on either side, those rolls of the dice were successful. I have Kate and Jane, and but for other women, it could be 10 cycles. I mean, some of our students, their stories would have you in tears. We get very emotional actually during our training because we share. It's quite cathartic. But we have women who are facing all of these things. And then in the middle of it, as I say, hopelessness, worry, injections, embarrassment, anxiety, invasive test, scans, more worry. When you think about what they're facing, and then we look at our menopause woman, utter pain, can't move her body like she used to, can't think clearly, feels like they're getting dementia, exceptional anxiety, breaking out in hot sweats the whole time, maybe still minding children, maybe minding older parents at this stage of life. And in the middle of it, I have to go into a meeting at 3 o'clock, or I have to, do a team call at whatever time, or, I'm on the till in the morning, and I can't. How am I going to scan stuff? I can't even move my wrists because I'm in so much pain. So we have all of that, and then we have the emotion side on top of it, and we're not serving those women. And we need to serve those women. And I get very passionate about it. So it's not just mental emotion, we have our physiological. And this is why I think we need to be looking at that 360 model, because we need to support physiology as well. I can talk to my menopause woman about how she can cope with going into the meetings with a hot flush or with very achy joints. But how much better would it be if I could give her protocols to reduce inflammation, to give her protocols to support brain health so that foggy thinking and that anxiety is starting to minimize? How wonderful could it be for my fertility client that I've supported her to maybe talk about fertility at work, maybe get around, having to go away for a meeting and her injections are due. But how wonderful if I can also support her to get better eggs. And so for her next throw of the dice, she's more successful. And her partner, because we're not going to waste subspar perm on one precious egg that we can develop every month. He can develop millions. I have one. Let's get you both developing everything so beautifully. So it's a different model. It's a different way of looking at things. Here are some of the things that your clients might be facing. Anybody who's already coaching menopause and fertility clients, you will hear them talking about stuff like this. You will hear about the bloating, the hair loss, absent, heavy, irregular periods, libido, erectile issues, period issues, gynecological issues, anxiety, foggy brain, painful, uncomfortable testing. What a whole heap of everything to put on the shoulders of one person or two, because if it's fertility, it's going to be the male as well, hopefully. That's a whole heap of stuff for an individual to be going through, whilst they're also hoping for this miracle at the end of it, or for the menopause woman. So they're also hoping that they're going to get through this transition phase as unscathed as possible, and it can last for 10 years. And I suppose you go through menopause around the age of 52. That's the average, but you can go through it earlier. Now, if you're in the perimenopause phase for 10 years, and if you're going to go into menopause around 48, if it was me, if I would have been one of the more slightly earlier menopausal women, I would have been in perimenopause when I was trying to have my children. So there's a huge amount going on for women, and it's up to us to support them. Okay, we need to cover it all. We need to cover physiology. We need to find out the why behind the symptoms. For me, it's not good enough to know that somebody has a pain in their wrists. I want to know how, why, what's happening in the body that's causing that pain. And if we figure out what's happening, we can bring something in that might be able to buffer it or support it or minimize the driver of that pain. But we also need coaching skills. We need to bring in, so this is our approach. We teach you the why, we teach you what's going on within the body. And we give you, of course, intervention protocols that you pass to your client. Then we teach coaching skills, because without coaching skills, this isn't brought together. Without having someone solid in the middle of all of this that we've just seen, without having somebody solid in that can signpost, support, advocate, get you from A to B, get you through the situation you can't feel a way through, support you to answer those questions that are keeping you up at night. There's our coach. Our coach is sitting in there. We also teach everything to do with the medical interventions, because your client is going to come to you saying, I'm facing ABCD. And if you know what ABCD is, you can say, right, okay, where in there do you need support? I don't understand this test. Okay, now maybe I might switch to my mentoring hat or my education hat, and I'm going to tell them about it. And I say, right, okay, where in here now do you need coaching support? I cannot get my head around having to have, such and such a test. Okay, let's break that down in a coaching session. Do you want to get this test done? Do you need to get it done? Let's explore it, and let's get you, what steps will get you through it and, out the other side of that test. And that's missing. That's absolutely missing in the medical model. There's nothing to get us through these awful or sometimes challenging stages of a particular journey. but coaching can get you through it. Now, if I can coach you, if I know everything you're going through, if I can support you physiologically, wouldn't you want me on your team? You know, and these are the coaches that those that are coming through training with us are saying, this is why I've come. I don't want anybody else going through this journey without the support. And I've been high and low Googling, who is this person? And then I come across fertility coaching. I'm like, aha. Or I come across menopause coaching. I'm like, oh, thank God. You know, I mean, you know, there's so many different types of coaches. And if I were to say the word ADHD coach to you, you know, you probably conjure up ideas of, okay, this is someone who'll tell me how to support my child or adult with ADHD. If it's a child, they'll tell me, you know, maybe what I need to do with the school, what approach I should take with the school, etc. We can see that a menopause and a fertility coach is the same. You know, what do I need to do to get through this journey? Who can support me? What do I need to be saying to the clinics? What do I need to say to my doctor? How do I get my message across? And coaching can support with all of this. So you're trained. Okay, what happens next? You're trained. I'm presuming, and again, I'm so sorry, I don't know, but I'm presuming a lot of those watching are actually already either thinking of training as a coach or they're already trained. And everything then, you know, we train in something because we want to make it our living. You know, we feel we have this wonderful offer and we want to serve those who need it. And in order to serve our communities, we need to make sure that our business can keep going. And I think that as therapists and practitioners and coaches, often we feel, I've heard the amount of times I've heard from students, if I won the lotto, I wouldn't charge anybody. Now, the chances of us all winning the lotto, unfortunately, are very low. It was my husband's 50th birthday over the weekend. I did buy him some lotto tickets. So we always do live in hope, let's face it. And but you know, we need to sustain a living. You won't serve anybody if you have to get a different job. You know, maybe we were buffering our job, our coaching with another job. That's different. But if you have to close your coaching ideas, close away the coaching skills because you can't work in it any longer because your business hasn't survived it, then we're not going to be able to serve anybody. And there are people out there, no matter what the modalities of any of us working here are, there are people out there who need our skills. So if you're the ADHD coach, if you're the relationship coach, or if you're the anxiety coach, or whatever type of coach you are, there are people out there who desperately need your skills. So we focus on business vision and we get very realistic and we change the tone of teaching changes when we look at business vision or our business mentoring program. The tone is very different because we have to be very focused, we have to be very logical, and the emotions get parked. And I want to run you through the top 3 things that I think would really benefit anybody watching who's saying, you know what, I need a little bit more fire under the business. Okay. So the first thing, this is inside our business success pathway program. We start with our why. Now, I always ask everybody, what's your why? And if I were to ask anybody here, what is your why? You'd probably say, well, I want to help others. I want to make a living. I hope that'll be up there for you. And, you know, I want to support people who are going through this, etc. And I'm like, that's absolutely brilliant. And that's an overarching, maybe, but actually you need to go deeper. You need to say, well, actually, really, why do I have this desire to help people? And I'm going to give you an example by telling you what my why was and giving you an idea of how deep we need to go to truly understand our why. When we understand our why and who, then we truly understand who we want to serve. And when we truly understand who we want to serve, we can speak directly to them. And our message, our marketing message, our message in general is much sharper. So it's not lost in the noise that's surrounding, we'll say, social media or wherever it is that your voice is being heard. So my why started with it probably started in mother care, actually, you know, thinking like so upset, so mortified that here I was not having a clue. And I remember thinking it's not good enough. And then I went through all these treatments. Now, I'm very open with it. My fallopian tubes were completely blocked. I was in a really bad road traffic accident when I was a small child. There was so much damage done to my abdomen area that I was lucky I had fallopian tubes and any bit of a reproductive system, but they were completely blocked. So I had no hope of, getting pregnant naturally, but I didn't know that. And I remember being told you should be going for a specific type of treatment. And I remember thinking, if my tubes are blocked, this isn't actually going to work. And if this doesn't work, this has cost me thousands of euro and a lot of emotion. So I pushed to have my tubes tested. And my tubes were tested and I was wide awake. I remember going and smiling and thinking, this is great now, we're getting places. And I didn't smiling. And then while I was awake, they tried to put dye through my tubes. And I cannot explain the pain of that. When your tubes are blocked. Absolutely horrific. So bad I vomited all over the hospital. And all I could think of was don't let the other women in the waiting room who I know are coming in for this test see me, because I don't want anyone to see this. And I remember being so traumatized that I was saying after, this isn't good enough. So my why stems from trauma, and it stems from feeling very angry and aggrieved that actually the treatment we give to women isn't good enough. The support we give to women isn't good enough. There's so much more that we can do for women and we don't, and that's simply not good enough. So that's my why, that it's not good enough, and it makes me angry, and it has the potential to make me very upset when I allow it. So yes, of course, why are you doing this? Yes, of course, I want to help women, but my why is because what we're allowing menopausal and fertility women face and go through without support isn't good enough. So I would ask everybody to have a think about what is your true why? How deep can you go into it? Because the deeper you go into it, the stronger your voice is at the other side, and the stronger your messages, and maybe the more focused your clinic can become, or maybe the more focused your coaching can become. So then we move to our baseline, and we're like, and this actually is, when we get to the baseline, we're very realistic. We're saying, okay, where are you right now? Where is everything with regards to your work? Are you full-time coaching? Do you want to become a coach? Are you in a job to support your coaching journey? Where are you financially? How much time do you have? What is everything like? Because we all have dreams, and I want to train to become this wonderful coach, and then I'll do ABC. But unless we have a very strong understanding of our baseline, we can trip quite soon. We can trip quite easily, and we can feel I'm not achieving my goals, and I might give up, or I might feel deflated. Whereas if we're like, okay, this is my baseline, and when I look at my baseline realistically, I know how fast and how far I can move. So I'm not going to try and jump 40 feet ahead. I'm going to keep myself here close, and my first step is going to be this. My second step is going to be this, etc., etc. And you can be coached, of course, through all of that. And then, now this is where the magic happens. We look at your vision, and it's about getting out what's in here. And I would encourage all of you to do this. Start with your why, look at your baseline, the realistic viewpoint of life. That's literally what is of your life. And then say, what's my vision? Because nothing is unobtainable. Whatever your vision is, right? I always say, what would happen, or what is your vision if nothing could go wrong? And if whatever you wanted to do was guaranteed to happen, what would your vision be? And it's you, I can guarantee for most of you watching, that vision is going to be very different to what you think it is. So if nothing can go wrong, what would you like to create? Okay. And look at that and say, right, okay, well, actually, you know what? The majority of the things you come up with, you will be able to create. You absolutely should be able to. So the three things, so a couple of things. I suppose the approach to treat the woman holistically, I think, is absolutely vital. Okay. We need to meet her where she's at. We need to make sure that those lines of communication are open, that she's in a safe place, of course, as much as we can make it for her, and that we realize that not only is she a body of symptoms or a body of, challenges perhaps, but she's also a woman that feels here and in here, and that there's a whole heap of emotions and worries and shame and guilt and whatever else comes with either of those journeys. Okay, so we need to keep that focus for our client, and how can we do better? Because as I say, my feeling of it's just not good enough is always followed by how can we do better? And this program, especially my fertility one, which is the first one, was built from it's not good enough. How can we do better? And like, yeah, we can teach how to optimize reproductive function. And now with our next program, we can teach how to minimize menopausal symptoms and how to make that menopausal journey much easier. And this is the time when, a lot of our I suppose a lot of our responsibilities are maybe going down a little bit as well. So we should be able to thrive. So we teach the physiology to support all of that. We teach you how to coach the clients through the trickier situations. And we teach you how to get all of that onto paper so you can start building a wonderful business to serve all of those who need you. So, as we'd say in Irish, sin é sin, that's it. If you do want more information, hello@womenshealthnetwork.co.uk. This is my phone number. All my social media, well, Facebook and Instagram, it's all womenshealthnetwork.co.uk. That's what I use across the board. Our new programs are running in October. Our fertility is almost full. Our menopause, we're not sure yet with the numbers, so we might pause it until February because it's new and we haven't put a huge amount into it yet because you know what, other things in life have come in and we've needed to focus on. So it's likely that'll be the new year, but we're still open to that being a little bit earlier. So that's it. Thank you so much for listening. And if we have questions, I'm going to stop sharing and I'll stop sharing there now. Here we
Well, I
go.
shall
Julie,
first
I
say
give the
thank
floor
you.
back.
Yes, I'm there. I'm here. And I mean, you mentioned at one point, thank God. And to be honest, that's what I was thinking while I was listening to all of this. Thank God somebody has thought of this. And why on earth has that not been something which has been done for years? Because it just makes so total sense to me. You know,
Yeah.
you can have all the separate bits, but it's that guiding, it's that answering questions, it's that supporting part, which is totally missing. So you're on an incredible mission, and I found this extremely worthy also in just your approach and how you've changed all of this. Right now, I would like to open the floor to questions and seen, there's not that many of us in this part of the program, a lot on Facebook Live. Do feel free to just unmute yourself and to ask your question. Let's not be shy. We have somebody here who's clearly very knowledgeable in expertise and also in experience and with the compassion and the skills that a coach has. So what questions do you have? I see a few of you are also I see a life coach menopause, Nina, and Charlotte as well with the gut health for menopausal women. So you're already in that world. Does anyone have a question you would like to put to Liadh? Okay, well, I guess what I was thinking as well is, but is there also medication in there? We talk about, so I'm more the menopausal side of things than the fertility side of things at this point in life. Because there again, there's a whole bunch of questions and what is good, what is not good. Do you also then coach along the sides of
We
HRT
do
and medication?
100%. We have to. We absolutely have to. And we take a very balanced view of it. We're not saying what's right, what's wrong. A good number of years ago, HRT did have this reputation of, being very dangerous for women.
Yeah,
And I suppose what we need to teach is we need to teach, okay, there is a cohort of women who will always, be an outlier or be outside what we can do medically. There's a cohort of women who will not ever be able to go on certain medications. And we need to teach that. We need to take a very, very balanced view. So it's never going to be, you shouldn't be taking HRT, you should be taking this instead. It's not about change. We never slip outside our scope of practice, first of all. I'm not a
right.
GP. I would never advise on which you should take ever. And we're very strict. We keep our students all within a very strict scope of practice. So they know from their first day of training what their scope of practice is. But we teach a balance. We teach, okay, this is what the research is saying. Now you'll find research that's saying this as well. And this is the education you bring to the table to your client. So you're not bringing, none of our coaches are ever going to be trained and told to go to your client and say, don't go on HRT because of ABC. But they're going to say, well, I know you have questions about it. Let me give you the research. Let me tell you what's out there. and let me support you make that informed decision. And that informed decision might be helping them gather some questions they want to ask their GP,
Yeah.
because the GP and the medic is the only person who can truly, answer. Of course, there's loads who will answer it for you, but I'm all about safe practice. And I think
Yeah.
that we're doing a complete disservice if we don't stay within safe practice, truly. And others will completely disagree with me, and I'll be a complete, persona non grata for saying that, and I don't care really, because something, we have to be very, very safe. We've a duty to women coming to us for advice to keep them safe as well. So we give you the education, we'll show you the research, and then we'll say, right, okay, who needs to answer this for you, and we'll support
Right.
them to get that done.
I mean, that makes really sense to me. And I mean, a lot of alarm bells were going off as you were talking. So then again, sorry, apologies, I'm on the menopause side. But I mean, here in Holland, you have 10 minutes with your GP. So you
Yeah.
go in saying what's, and they're very fast to say, okay, antidepressants. Whereas, we were
Hmm.
talking about anxiety and then the fog and wondering
Yeah.
if you've got Alzheimer's. I've been through all those things,
Yeah.
wondering, do I actually need to have antidepressants? Is it just a phase I'm going through? But a lot of questions that a GP does not have time to answer.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think
it.
that's exactly that beauty. And talking about IVF as well. I know quite a few friends who are struggling to have children the natural way. And it is heartbreaking to hear of their stories, but to have someone in the middle who you can talk to
Yeah.
about, what does it actually mean and how can you help yourself apart from just the medical side? How do you stay on
Yeah.
track? How do you look after your body in order to be in the best possible state? It's
Yeah.
not just a list, as you say, of protocols. So I mean, this to me
That's it.
makes total sense, and
Total
thank
sense. Yeah.
goodness. Thank
Thank you.
goodness.
And like we have our pharmacist who comes in and educates us all about the medications, and side effects, what supplements, because a lot of people will be going supplements, what supplements might be contraindicated, what ones won't make any difference, etc. And then we have our medical team who come in and they teach us all about how IVF protocols are put together and why my protocol might be different from yours, so that we truly get into the head of what's happening, within the medical field. Um, and our medical team as well teaches us about the IVF protocols, so that um we have a very, by the end of it all, we need to be very unbiased. And I think
Yeah.
coaches will appreciate that more than anybody, that you have to be unbiased, but you also have to be able to educate and get that
Yeah.
information that's missing, that they can't find themselves, get that for them.
And I would say even distill and filter it, because it's often not a question of not
Yeah.
finding the information, but there is so incredibly much
Oh my
information out there.
goodness.
You get
Yeah,
completely lost and you don't know what to
completely.
believe. You don't know what,
That's
it's
it.
even like when you do have a baby, what should I do? Should I put him on the stomach, on the
That's
side,
it.
on the what? All
Everyone's
these
telling me
questions that
something
you
else.
have. Yep.
That's it. And we always say that our role is to help push away that noise. This is literally what we say. We say to
Yeah.
push away that
Mm,
noise surrounding our clients and to break the cycle of Dr. Google. Because
mm.
Dr. Google
Yes.
is,
Yes.
but that leads to stress. And then we teach them the effects of stress, the stress response physiologically on the endocrine system. So we're drawing the full map of what's going on
Yeah.
from what we're
Yeah.
doing, so it is. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm functional medicine through and through, and coaching. Without coaching, I think we're only half serving. We're serving well, but we're only half serving. We can do
I
we can do
agree.
better.
Yes. And I'm missing a whole dimension of it, right?
Yeah.
Before I continue blubbering on again, Jenny, yes, I was going to say you put your camera on. I thought maybe you wanted to ask something. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, hi, Leah.
Hi, Jenny.
Fantastic what you're doing. I'm really sorry I missed the very beginning. So you may have answered this already. I'm a retired radiologist, and my specialism was in women's health, along with kids and cancer, but predominantly women's health. So lots of work with infertility and menopause and all sorts of other women's issues that are not taken seriously by the traditional medical establishment, particularly. I did, but I was probably a lone voice. Um, Retired from that now, and I'm a health and well-being nutrition coach. Um, how did how do you integrate your practice, which is brilliant because it's exactly what's always been missing? And and I've been through infertility treatment myself as well, so I've been there, I've experienced that, I've gone through the menopause more than once because I had endometriosis too, so I've experienced it more than once, and I think it actually lasts longer than 10 years personally. I'm 65 now, and I still have a cycle of sorts, emotionally, hormonally, body shape wise, fluid wise. I think it probably actually goes on indefinitely. I don't think it ends. I think traditionally we're told it finishes, but I don't think it really does. That's just my personal take on it. But how do you integrate? How did you start to integrate what you're doing into the wider medical sphere? Because I'd love to do that. I just can't see how in the world to integrate this or to introduce it into the hospital setting or the GP practice setting.
Yeah,
I just don't see where the in is.
That's it. And you know something that's so interesting, Julie, or Jenny at least, and the first part where you say about it not finishing, I believe in memory throughout the body. And I believe that your body remembers, you know, your hormonal cycles. And we probably haven't ever touched into that, but I believe it continues as well completely, you know. And so how did I integrate it? I'll tell you something, and I'm not joking. I knocked on every door of every fertility clinic that I could find, and every door was slammed in my face. That's no joke, you know. Now, interestingly, I will be introducing next year, with the help of a wonderful group, this concept to a whole heap of fertility clinics. And I feel that the time is maybe right now. And maybe you might find that as well, that things that, you know, we're changing and shifting as a society, and we can now stand up and say it's not good enough, you know. But how I integrated it is, you know, self-employment, my own clinic. That was literally it, you know. And then you'd have people saying, oh my God, why isn't this available? And then you try and get back around to the fertility clinics and that door be closed in your face. That's the total realistic viewpoint of it. But if you have this approach and if you can offer this, I can guarantee you, all you need is one, two women to be able to say, "Oh my goodness, this is exactly this is the frustrating part. This is what women are looking for. This is what the fertility client is looking for in the menopause client. And why should the doors be shut in front of us? They should be open. We should be welcomed in. So it's a collective voice is what will change that. But at the moment, those doors are very closed. So it's something we have to keep pushing against ourselves. I'd love to be able to give you a totally different answer. That's the reality. I really, really would, you know. But one of my missions is to make sure, I would love to have fertility coaching aside in every fertility clinic. And it's an appalling situation that it's not. I would love to have menopause and fertility inside in every women's health clinic. GP practices should be referring outwards all the time. And that's part of my mission. And I think that will come. So we just keep doing what we're doing.
I hope it does, yeah. Well,
yeah,
I'll keep
me
trying.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? For goodness sake. Anyone else? As I get mauled by my cat, sorry. Claire.
I have two cats praying they won't jump up in front of the camera.
So was I, but it didn't work.
Oh, bad.
Claire, go ahead.
Hi, Leah. Can
Hi,
I just
Claire.
ask? So I'm a sort of newly qualified health coach as well as life coach, and I'm going into the menopause side of things, since I'm postmenopausal. And obviously I had my own issues, so that's why I'm concentrating on that side. I'm just wondering, does your website have information on what you're going to try and
sure
introduce?
does. Absolutely. Yeah. So if you go on to womenshealthnetwork.co.uk, and on the front page, there'll be two places to click. Whether or not you're looking for information on joining the program, I would say download the brochures that are relating to them. They'll give you an idea of what we teach, but they don't obviously give you the methods. They don't give you anything like that, but they'll give you an idea. And a lot of information actually would be on my Instagram page, but the majority would be on my website, of course. But if you ever wanted to just have a chat, I'm more than willing, because you know what, the more the merrier, that we're all out there working in the same direction. So if you ever wanted to have a chat, and we could have a Zoom, and you could ask me what you're kind of looking to do, and I'd be more than delighted to point you in the right direction, or to give you, you know, on the spot kind of advice and information that might benefit what you're trying to achieve. So please do. Yeah. I'd love it.
Thank you. I will. That's great.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Just one question from my side as we need to finish off. I mean, do you do this in person or also online?
Brilliant question. So all of our training is online. So we have it's a 12-month program. It's all virtual. We meet once a month on a Saturday and a Sunday. Of course, you have to gather your 60 hours coaching as well. So that's aside from the classroom, and we run through the academic year. So we run from October to July, and we're off for most of July and all of August, and then we come back in September. So
Perfect.
yeah, so
Well, that's
all
exactly what I
online.
wanted to hear. I mean, as in my
Yeah.
community is very international, all over the place,
Yeah.
and to have you doing this online just makes it so accessible to everyone. So I
Easier.
think we can all have
Yeah.
our mission to help you be heard and get your voice
Thank
out there,
you.
because this is really
Please.
something we need. Thank you very much. Thank you to Liadh, first of all, you know, for the time and preparing this and everything that you've shared with us. Thank you to all of you for having made time today to be here. Thank you to all of those who will be listening to the replay and who were on Facebook Live. I forgot to tell you about your CPD pad, so don't forget to write your notes in your CPD pad. And indeed, let's take this further so that we can be, you know, better at helping women in these crucial stages of their lives. Wishing you all a lovely evening until our next one. All the best now. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.